What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In this video today we're going to take a look at 5 Linux terminal tools that have the potential to massively improve your productivity and speed when working in the terminal. So let us get right into it. Alright, so we're going to get right into it. I'm going to show you guys today 5 awesome Linux terminal tools that can massively increase your productivity while working in the terminal, while doing terminal stuff. And for each of them, I'm also going to give you a brief introduction, a brief description on how to use them, as well as some sample use cases, some example commands that show you how you could use the tool for productivity. Now, for this video today, I have prepared this test folder here with the subdirectories A, B, C, D. We have some text files here and some CSV markdown files and some images and videos, because all the tools today are going to be centered around productivity, efficiency, working with files, working with directories, navigating them, listing them, finding stuff, and so on. So I wanted to prepare some example data here so that I don't have to showcase my whole file system. Now, the first tool on the list is a little bit special because it can be combined with all the other tools on the list. It's not really a tool in the terminal. It's more of a tool set around the terminal. So an ecosystem around the terminal, you could say. It's a terminal application and it's called Warp. So I'm going to show you also the other tools in the context of Warp, because this tool is like a replacement for the ordinary terminal that you have on Linux. And Warp is sponsoring this video today, so make sure you check them out at the link in the description down below. You will find installation instructions there and also some additional information. But basically, as I said, Warp is a terminal application and it has a lot of tools and features that are integrated in the terminal and that work around the terminal. So first of all, the basic stuff, you can go to the settings, you can change the appearance easily to a light theme or a Dracula theme. But this is all, of course, not the central use case of Warp. Warp has a lot of interesting things that you can do with it. And for the example, I'm going to go to desktop. You can already see here I get these suggestions, desktop, and then test folder. Then I can navigate here. And one basic thing, for example, that I can do is I can say ls to display all the different directories here. And I can just go and click with my mouse on one of them and I can say open folder. So this is something that I can do here in Warp that I cannot do in the basic terminal. Now, just so I can show you that better, let me just increase the font size here for the video. Let's go with 17 maybe. There you go. Now, what I can do here is I can take each input and output and treat it as a block. This is the first concept of Warp. It has blocks, so I can click on a block and I can do certain things with the block. For example, I can go and filter the block output by saying B. B is going to be highlighted. Or maybe if I want to do something else, let's go and execute the tree command. Then I can say filter the output and go for only the .png files here. So this can happen interactively here. I can bookmark an output so I can quickly scroll to it. And that is the first major concept. I can also copy, I can share, I can do stuff with blocks of input and output. And I can also select multiple of them and I can copy paste them. This is the first thing that you can do with Warp. Now, the second thing, which is also very interesting, is you can implement so-called workflows. Now, you already have, I think, here on the left, at the top left side here, you have already some example workflows, some starter workflows that are already given to you. So kill the process running on a port. I can click on this and you can see now I get this whole workflow here and I just have to fill in the parameters. So for example, port 80. Now this would kill processes running at port 80. But the interesting thing is I can create my own workflow. So I can click here on the plus, I can say new workflow, and I can say stuff like git commit, for example. And I can say add description, commit with a commit message, and then I can create my own commit command here. So git commit -m, and then I can use 2 curly brackets here, similar to the Jinja in Flask. I can just say message, and then I have my message parameter. I can say commit message here, and I can also give it a default value if I want to. For example, what I often do is bug fix, and then I can save the workflow. And then what I can do is I can just click on it, and next time I can just say changed everything or something like this. And I can do the same thing. For example, if I want to do something like exporting a variable, just new workflow, export variable, and then I can say export variable name is equal to value, and then I have these two. I can click on it, and then I can say, I don't know, key, and then actually shift tab is for cycling the parameters, key equals something, whatever. So that's the second concept. Another concept, which is quite useful, is you can use the warp AI. So I can go ahead and I can say right click, ask warp AI, and I can say, now it suggests you what should I do next. Do I have images on my system here? And then I would get an answer like a ChatGPT response. Now in this case, it tells me how to check for that, but also sometimes it gives me responses about the output itself. So it will say, okay, I saw some PNG files here. But the more interesting feature regarding the AI, in my opinion, is you can ask it for commands. So I can go and say hashtag, and I can say, give me all PNG files in the subdirectories, like this. And then it will give me here the AI command suggestion. So it will say find all PNG files in the current directory and its subdirectories. I can click on this, I can run it, and there you go. I see the PNG files in my subdirectory. So I didn't even have to think about this. I didn't have to Google anything. I can just ask the AI and I get the command and I can just use it. Now, what else we can do is, by default, it's not enabled, but I can enable a Vim mode here. So you can see I can say something like hello world, and I can then go into Vim mode. I can do change in a word. I can swap characters and so on. This is for me personally something very important. I know a lot of you guys are not using Vim, but for me, this is a game changer. And then also we have auto completions. Now I disabled auto completions for the sake of privacy here. I'm going to briefly enable them. But basically you can just go enable auto suggestions here. And then when I type a command like something, maybe I can go with ls. There you go. You can see if I type L, it says S. And it also works for more complicated commands, but I didn't want to show some complicated commands that I ran recently because I'm working with databases and keys and so on. But basically you can try for yourself. You can just enable the auto suggestions. I'm going to disable them here and you can play around with them. All right, so the second tool on our list here is called exa, and exa is basically a modern replacement for the ls command. It's a better ls command if you want. And the ls command, for those of you who don't know it, is basically just listing the directories and files in the current directory or in the directory specified. I can also do stuff like ls-la to get some more information. And exa now basically does the same, but it has some additional features and also better coloring, better styling. For example, now of course you need to install it, so you need to do sudo apt install, or depending on your package manager, a different command, exa. And then you can just run exa, and the default command will do exactly the same as ls. But if I go and say exa-la, you will see, for example, that the styling is better here. So I can see more intuitively what these permissions are. And I can also see the user is in a different color, and the dates and the actual directories are in a different color, whereas here it looks all pretty boring. But of course you have different features. So I can do stuff like exa-recurse, for example, and you can see here warp also suggests the different flags that I can use here, or the different additional parameters, arguments here. You can see now this is the recurse option. ls does not have such a recurse option. As you can see, exa does. So I can see also within the directories also what happens if I run exa inside of them. And also if I go and create another folder here, so let's call this E, and in E I want to have another file. Let's go ahead and create a file, test file.txt, hi, save it, and then run the same command here, exa recurse. You can see that I also get E here, and I also get inside of E test file.txt, and I can also change this to a tree command, so I can say exa tree, and then I can see that as well, but I can also limit the depth of the tree, so the levels. So I can say levels or is it level or levels? Level equals 1, then I will get only that. Level 2, I get this. Level 3, I get also the test file txt. So it's a combination of ls and the tree and better coloring. We can also do stuff like icons, so exa -- icons, and then I get also the directory icons here, or if I say tree, then I also get here the markdown and the text file and the exo file or the CSV file, images and a camera for the videos here. So I get the icons for the individual file types. And I can also add stuff like ignoring git. And also I can sort by certain things. So I can say exa reverse, and then I can sort, for example, I can sort by size. And in this case, you can see that D is obviously at the top because it contains videos. And then I can also maybe combine this with the tree. Or now, actually, the sorting doesn't work. Or it works on the lower level. It works here because I think new type 2 is the largest video from these three. But yeah, you can see it's a more complicated and more sophisticated ls command. Now, the third tool on our list is called ripgrep, and ripgrep is a tool that recursively searches for content that matches a given regular expression in a directory. Now, this may sound more fancy and complicated than it actually is. The basic idea is you provide a regular expression, which can also just be a keyword or some text that you're looking for, and then this tool looks for that in the content of this directory and in the content of the subdirectories, and finds all the matches. So in our test folder, for example, I have these subdirectories, and then I have some text files and markdown files and so on. And ripgrep basically can look for content inside of these files. So for example, I can say rg, and again, you have to install ripgrep using sudo apt install ripgrep or whatever your package manager is. So it's written like this, ripgrep, and rg is the command. And for example, if I say rg hello in my test folder, you can see it finds all the files that contain hello. So test.txt, other txt, file md, and hello.txt. It also gives you the line number. And I can then also just click on this here, open file. This is now a warp feature again, opens my default text editor, and I can see what this looks like. So again, open file, markdown file, hello. That's the content. This is why it finds hello. Now what I can do is I can also limit this, for example, to specific file types. I can say rg, hello, and then I can say -- glob, and then I can provide *.txt, for example. And then I will only find the matches in txt files. I can do the same thing with md, there you go. And also I can include hidden files. I can do something like ripgrep hello, and then -- no - ignore, and then also -- hidden. And in this case, I will get even one more entry because I have a hidden file here, hidden hello, which is now found as well. So ripgrep is a very powerful tool, especially because it works also if you have a very, very complicated structure. So you can literally go to your user directory, to your home directory, and just run this, and it will look for all the files, or it will look for a match in all the files. And of course, this works with professional regular expressions as well. So you don't have to just provide keywords or text that you're looking for. But this is a very, very nice tool, and it allows you to find content very quickly. Tool number 4 on our list can be very interesting for development purposes. It's a tool called direnv, like directory and environment, like this. And this is a tool that allows you to use different environment variables depending on the directory that you're currently in. So for example, of course, you need to install the tool as always with your package manager. But for example, I can go now into my B directory, and here I can create a file called .envrc, so environment rc basically. And I can do that now, for example, with nvim.envrc. And in this file now, I can define some environment variables that are relevant for this particular directory. And for example, if this is my project directory, I might want to have specific environment variables, keys or something set in the environment, but only while in this directory. So for example, I can do stuff like export test var equals test value. So I'm setting a simple variable here. I'm exporting a simple variable. And what I can do then, in my case, it already did that because I tried it for the video before. But what you have to do then is you have to do direnv allow and the current directory. So direnv allow and a dot. And this will then allow this directory to be used by direnv. And if I go now and I say echo, and then dollar test var, I will get the value test value. If I go out of that directory, so if I go to test folder and I try to do the same thing, you will see I get nothing, because you can also see here direnv is unloading when I'm leaving this directory, because this particular exported variable only exists in the folder B because it's defined in the envrc file. So this is something that you can use in development environments if you have multiple projects and you want to have some, I don't know, some variable key, and you want to have the key value or the key variable name always set to key, but you want to have a different key depending on which directory you're in or something like that. You can do that with direnv. All right, and finally, the fifth tool on our list is one that can really massively increase your productivity because it allows you to very quickly and easily navigate your file system. It's a tool called autojump, and this tool basically learns while you're using cd, so while you're using the change directory command, to analyze how often you visit certain directories, and then you can easily jump to them without having to specify the full path. So the tool is called autojump, but the command itself is just J, so it's even shorter than cd. And this command allows you to jump to a directory by just specifying a string that somehow matches the directory, and it will analyze if there are multiple candidates that this string fits to or fits with. It's going to pick the one that you visit more often. So to keep it simple, I reset everything, and now we can just visit the individual directories. So I can go to B, I can go out of B, I can go to A, I can go to D, I can go to C, and I can even go to my prepared directory, which I like to go to quite often in tutorials. I like to go to my current directory in tutorials and so on. Then I like to go to my desktop, and I like to go to the test folder and so on. And now, since I did all these cd commands, autojump learned about these directories. So now I'm in my test folder, and I can just say j current, and it will jump to my current directory, which is located in Documents, Programming, Neural 9, Python, Current, even though I just typed jcurrent in desktop test folder. I can also say jb, and it will jump to test folder B. Now, let's say that in my test folder, I create a new directory called current. Now, what happens if I say jcurrent? Now, first of all, it jumps to this one because it doesn't know the other one. But let's jump to test. That will jump to test folder. Now, let's go to the current directory. Let's go out of it again, and let's jump to current. Now this will jump to Neural 9 Python Current because I was in this directory more often. I used cd, and I was located in this directory more often than in the other one. Now you might say, but how do I know now which one is going to be picked? Very easily, you just have to type j-s, and it will show you the database entries. So you can see these are all the paths that this tool knows, and the highest importance, the highest weight is given to test folder because this is the one that I visited the most often. The second one is this one. You can see it also knows this one, but I visited this one way more often. So I can go to the desktop, for example, and I can say J, and now I can say current, of course, which will let me jump to this one, but I can also say something like test current. Actually, this doesn't work, so let's go with test current. No, this also doesn't work, so let's go with j test cur like this, and now it works because I had to specify the capital C. But in this case, I jumped to test cur, and the closest match was, or the only match probably, was test folder current. So it didn't jump to the current in Neural 9 Python Current. And this is super, super useful. Also, what I can do is I can go to test folder here and make sure that the database is still in favor of this one. It is. I can still jump to this one if I use the jc command. The jc command is basically like the jump command, but it only allows me to jump into child directories. So I can say cur, and now actually like this, and now it jumps into current. Because it's a child directory. So if I just do jcur, it jumps to the Python one because that's the one that has more weight, and this is the one that is a child directory. So it works with the jc if I'm located in test folder. Now, if I manually want to say that this is the most important current directory ever, I don't want any other current directory to be more important than this one, what I can do is I can say j-i while located in this directory, and I can just type a number like 10,000. And then if I say js -s, j-s, you can see that this directory now has a weight of 10,000. So it's the most important directory. If I type anything that matches this directory, even if it's Python, or actually I'm not sure if it works with Python because it's not the last directory. Let's say pyth. Okay, no, it doesn't work because it's not the last directory. But if I have any other current directory or any other directory that could match this last string, then I'm going to jump to this one if in doubt, because this is the most important one. And I can also decrease the weight. I can say j, so let's jump to current, j-d, and I can decrease that also by 10,000 to make it 0. Now, one thing that's also very interesting is I can jump to the test folder, and here now, let's say in my database, I'm always doing JS, j-s, you can see that I have, for example, the test folder D. Now, let's say I want to delete the test folder D. So let's say I go ahead and I just delete this, this test folder. What's going to happen if I want to jump to it now? Very easily, if I J and say D, it's going to jump to desktop because it doesn't find the D directory. Or actually, no, because desktop is more important. So let's actually, this is a bad example now. Let me do that with another directory. Let's jump to the test folder. Let's create a directory here. Let's call this special. Let's visit special. So let's go to special. Now special is part of my database. If I look at it, you will see there's special with a weight of 10. Now what happens if I do j special? It jumps to special, obviously. If I go back, I say j spec, it also jumps to special. So if I now remove special and I do j spec, you can see it doesn't find it. And if I go j-s, special is still here. So what I can do is I can say j and then --purge to remove all the non-existent paths from the database. As you can see, warp is showing me what this keyword is doing here, or what this parameter or flag is doing here. And now I remove 2 entries, special and D. I can look at that to see that this is the case. Now special and D are gone because they are no longer existent. But this is a super, super powerful tool because it easily allows you to navigate the system. I can just say jprep and then I jump to this. I can say test fold and I can jump to this. I can say j and then cur to jump to current. In this case, now it jumped to this one because the other one has a weight of 0. But yeah, this is super, super powerful, and it's super convenient to just jump around directories, especially if you know what they're roughly named, but you don't know exactly where they were. You know, for example, you have a university directory, and then you have a calculus directory inside of it, and then you have exercise 3. You can just say jump x or jump exercise or jump calc x or something like this. Super powerful tool. And one last thing that I want to show you here, you can see when you do the JS command, you get this data path here. So we can actually go and change that manually. We can use nvim, for example, or vi, whatever you want to use, to go to home neural9.local.share, actually not .share, but share, autojump, and autojump txt. And here I can manually manipulate the database. So I can go, for example, to this one, and I can actually change this to a number that I want, something like this. I can just save this, and then I can run the JS command again. And now you can see I have this new weight. And if I now say jcur, it jumps to this one. So yeah, this is a very powerful tool. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting a like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. Also, don't forget to check out Warp. They're sponsoring this video. You will find a link to them in the description down below. And as always, hit the notification bell and subscribe to this channel to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.